Alright, good morning. I've had a little bit of a break, and now we can go on to the third match. Where we left off, we just beat Turtwig in a really tight set, and so now I'm on my way to play against Bluegod, who is their second player. So right now, we've won once, and they've won once. We've lost a player, and they've lost a player, basically. They decided to put Bluegod into me, which I think is an awful decision. Bluegod's really bad into my lineup. Like, Bluegod is just, like, extremely awful into my lineup. And I just don't think their decks are particularly strong. And I hope I can show you why as the games go on. But yeah, I guess you didn't notice any difference. Okay, let me write quickly. They should have put a Nader into me, by the way. Like, I'm running double Demacia and red Gwen, and Nader's running anti-Demacia, and Bluegod's running, like, the slowest bar decks imaginable. I like severely disagree with pitting Bluegod into me. Like, I cannot verbalize just the amount of disagreement that I have about this decision, but they did it, so we'll see what happens. Best of 3. Bluegod. So this is actually my best matchup into the enemy gamers, as far as I can tell. I banned any Katarina Twisted Fate, and I just beat up on their, like, non-SI Seraphine decks. Like, they took, like, they're running, like, the Targon one and the Vandal City one. And, like, they're fine, but they're not great. Hit them with one of these. Ah, I've got a quest. What's my quest? Win battles in Path of Champions. Okay, I'll do that soon. I'm going to presume they're banning Red Gwen again, and I presume we're doing Vayne, Kayn, Sivir once more. I don't know which of these are, like, better than the other ones. All I know is that, like, Vi and sometimes Aphelios is, like, the only scary part of this deck. This deck's probably worse into this deck for them, just because this is 2 random negations, so I kind of defeat their win condition of the cat. While this deck, like, if they can get to the cat, if they can turbo the cat out, then I lose. It's close. In general, though, I find that these decks are too slow for my Demacias. Yeah. Let's start with Sivir, just for fun. So I started with a Vayne Kayn last time, so maybe they think I'll start with the same thing. So, whoa, I don't know, maybe they've done these and think something's better than something else. Let's talk about this matchup. So their deck is extremely slow, and their top end isn't even that strong. So imagine everything you know about Seraphine Shadow Isles, but you get rid of Quietus, Vengeance. Okay, you get rid of Quietus and Vengeance, which is like the whole reason to play Seraphine in Shadow Isles. And instead you replace it with a 1 of Wallop, a 1 of Stress Defense, a 1 of Group Shot, and 3 Pokey Sticks. But you lose Vile Feast. You lose Quietus and Vengeance. Like, this deck can't deal with big units except their 1 of Hexpliterator, and they cannot deal with small units as efficiently as a Quietus deck can. In addition, their only top end is a 1 of Sputtering Song Spinner and a 1 of Drum Solo. They're not 2 ofs, which I think at least 2 of Sputtering is normal. Their only win condition is Ezreal and Seraphine. They're not running the cat. They're not running anything else. What they're running in Vandal City is a copy of Wallop, a copy of Stress Defense, like a Conchologist, like a Trinket Trade, Group Shot, 3 Pokies. That's about it. This sounds crazy, but the way to beat this deck is to outvalue it, because they just don't accomplish anything. With both Vayne Kayn and Sivir. Now, you are going to have a tempo play, and it's going to look like you tried to beat them out of speed, but genuinely, your cards are more valuable than their cards. Now, if they have the Seraphine and the Ezreal in the same field, they can do the Seraphine Ezreal thing, but it's so difficult for them to get to that position where they've played a Bar, a Seraphine, and an Ezreal, while also having a bunch of cards that don't accomplish that much. The best card in their deck is Victor's Death Ray Mark 1, and that's about it, as well as, like, Bar, but it's, you know, everyone knows that's the power card. I genuinely, like, when I was scrimming this matchup with Jansports, it just felt miserable for the Seraphine deck. And I don't know why they're not on Shadow Isles. I genuinely cannot ascertain as to why. Okay, I don't actually know if I've done this matchup specifically. I feel like I must have, but I don't remember it very well. Let me open up their deck lists. Yeah, so this deck's the harder one of the two, in my opinion, because it's got more forms of interaction. And as much as I've ragged on it, I do agree, this is the hardest one of the two. I actually think Bloodletters might be a keep. It's got more forms of interaction. Okay, let's talk about the mulligan. Treasure Seeker. It's fantastic. 1-drop, they need to interact with it. It does damage. Wahoo. Bloodletters. Bloodletters seems really good here. They're not running Quietus, they're not running any equipment removal. Zolani is big, they can't really kill Zolani. The Dark Enthralls are big, they can't really deal with those. And we've already got a 1-drop, so we're not like missing out on like cool plays. Siva is a strong unit that requires like 2 to 3 pieces of interaction and also forces them to block all the time. And Shapestone is what we drew into. Shapestone's pretty good. It allows us to do Shapestone stuff. It's Shapestone. I think this is like a pretty good mulligan. If I had an ideal world, I'd probably replace the Shapestone with an Akshan. Or maybe even like the Treasure Seeker with an Akshan. But, you know, this is like, if there were 6 cards you're looking for, these are 4 of those cards, basically, which is scary, right? Like, they can do a lot more things into us. Because they've got Stress Defense, Wallop, Quicken, Drop the Bomb, Group Shot, Trinket Trade, and Vandal Tailstones from the Vandal City side of things. And this is maybe the 7th best card in the deck. So it makes it so that this deck has a bit more interaction. It's also got the Seraphine and the Ezra. Like, these are the higher win condition cards. The only issue is that those are the win conditions and nothing else. They don't run Evo, they don't run Hat, they don't run anything else. So if I can just kill these things before they get to do their main bits of value, they're gonna just like slowly run out. They're only on like 1 drum solo and like 1 song spinner, so they're not getting that like insane I played Seraphine, I win the game stuff anymore, like strictly just because they're not running those sorts of cards. And so provided that I can apply pressure with like Shadestone, Dark and Bloodletters, Vicar Vagabond, like I'm feeling pretty happy with my position. Okay, couple things here. 1. Why did I cook the Bloodletters with the on the Treasure Seeker? I wanted to get the countdown on the landmark. If they attack us, I'll probably just let it through, because I'm not going to die to burn that quickly. And I just wanted to get the countdown going as fast as possible. There's another point I wanted to make, and I don't remember what it was anymore. It was about something that I said orally during the conversation. I'm going to go back, because I remember it being important. They're going to just like slowly run out. They're only on like 1 drum solo and like 1 song spinner, so they're not getting that like insane I played Seraphine, I win the game stuff anymore, like strictly just because they're not running those sorts of cards. And so provided that I can apply pressure with like Shadestone, Dark and Bloodletters, Vicar and Vagabond, like I'm feeling pretty happy with my position. This isn't going to say it's easily winnable. They can just like, I had something to say, I don't remember what it was, I do apologize. Random us out, but we've got like decent cards. And by decent cards, we've kind of got like our best draws. I'm going to play Bloodletters. If they make Bloodletters cost 3 mana, I am like very upset. And I'm going to do this because I might want to play... So, pranking weapons is actually one of the stronger things you can do, because it'll return back as pranked. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure that's how that works. Maybe I'm wrong, but either way, I didn't want to play Bloodletters for 3 mana, and I'd rather they prank one of my other 4 cards. Zolani, because they can't hit the... There's a very decent chance I'm literally just doing Siva, Ruin Runner, Zolani, keep up a Shadestone, smack him down. And this play I'm talking about here, Siva, Ruin Runner, Zolani, smack him down, is pretty powerful. Like, just think about it. Think about turn... Well, it'd be my turn 5 attack, but then turn 6. Just think about how my board looks against a deck that doesn't have big units and struggles to interact with things. Okay, so now they know I've got 2 Shadestones. That's very funny. They've gained very little info. I mean, they've gained a fair bit of info. Like, now they know pretty much every one of my cards. I'm not going to go for Dark Enthrall Beatdown. It's decent, but I really think I should go for Zolani here. Like, when they play Bar, I'll play Zolani. I haven't noticed that I don't have the attack token on 6. That I have got it on 5. Now that I know... Now, in the future, that I remember that I've got it on 5, it is better to do the Dark Enthrall Beatdown. Just because, like, the 4 damage can matter. But at the time, I had forgot. Okay, they can pop our Spell Shield, but I think I'm just, like, applying pressure. Yeah. They will get, like, 2 Mystic Shots, which is, like, a little scary. Like 2 Mystic Shots is a lot of Mystic Shot. Okay, they're gonna not pop Spell Shield, that's fine by me. You know what, I actually think I am gonna do this. Like, they are really gonna struggle killing our units. No, I should... Because there's known information now that they've seen 2 of my Shapestones. No, I like Depression. I genuinely like Depression. It sounds like I'm saying depression, but I'm trying to say the pressure. I think that's very funny. I like the pressure of then going into a Ruin Runner, applying the damage. Their only way of dealing 3 damage is, like, Get Excited. And they have to do, like, Pokey Get Excited, which is in their range. They can also do Pokey, like, Hellstones. But it's so specific that I'd rather just, like, layer on the pressure. I can play these later. I don't have to go for Zolani. Like, look how much damage this is. What's up, Buttercup? Decisive Maneuver? Decisive Maneuver on this thing is funny. It's Decisive Maneuver, right? What did I tell you? I have fought Millie enough. I'm still pretty happy with that. Like, they got 0 mana when they play Bar. We've got, like, the Shapestone attacks. I agree with myself in the past. I don't think I need to add much on. I just find it funny that I can predict the thing. Trade was perfectly fine. They spent a lot of mana and resources into destroying our blocks, and we've still got 9 strength on the board right now. And if they play Bar, they've got no mana to do anything. Like, they've got no mana. And we've just drawn Absolver. And if you notice, we've got Akshan, Absolver, Shapestone, and a counted down landmark. So we can do a fantastic open attack. If they happen to play Bar... Yep. Predict into... I don't know. We can flip Akshan. So Akshan will go 4-2. I think it's Absolver. I think I've got enough buffs that it's just Absolver. I'm gonna pass. I'm gonna open here. I'm gonna pre-commit 1 buff, and it's gonna be on you. Because unless they have Hex Obliterator and like a few other things, like this, I guess if they do have the Hex Obliterator and a few other things, then it should go on other stuff, right? Like that is fair. I should be playing around Hex Obliterator and a few other things. So let's buff up the Akshan. Oh, you know what? No, let's set up the 5-2 as well. Let's buff you up. And then let's set up the 5-2. Who should go first? Yeah. Okay, I've misplayed. And this is a misplay that does mean a lot. Civ is supposed to go at the end. Quick attack on things doesn't matter. It just doesn't. I'm going for lethal. Quick attacking on things doesn't matter. But +1 strength does. Right? We're dealing currently 8 damage over. If they block 9... or 11. Sorry, if they block 11, I want to be, no, sorry, if they block 9, right, because we're 8 over. If they do this and then interact with this card here, or interact with this card here, we're forced into playing something, just to put it above lethal range again. So, Civ is supposed to go at the end, because the way that these things would line up would mean that Civ would be leveled, right? Because Civ was at 19, and this is literally enough to buff level up Civ. So this is a misplay. Put Sivir at the end in a situation like this where you're going to go for lethal and Sivir's not flipped yet and the quick attack... Like, what am I even giving quick attack to? Who cares? Like, this is getting quick attack? Fantastic, Spidz. Good job. The reason I did this in my head, so I'll explain why. It's wrong. Is that I was thinking that, okay, they're going to play stuff. I'm going to buff other things. They're at some point going to tap under Hex Obliterator and then I'm going all in on Sivir. And when I go all in on Sivir, then I can give quick attack to stuff. Yay! It doesn't matter. If I'm going all in on Sivir because of the way that they haven't played Hex Obliterator, I've won. So Sivir should go at the end just to be threatening more damage, especially because there's one extra damage to prevent us from having to commit our second Absolver or our second half of Absolver or our second Absolver. Does matter. So the ordering should have been this, 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 I think. Sorry, this, 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 this. But whatever, I didn't do it. It's wrong. Keep this in mind. It's wrong. There's a lot to talk about here where the buffs go, because I think it's an interesting part of Sivir Auction that is something you want to be wary of. And I don't even think I do it properly in this example. But playing around this stuff is really important, just to like wrap your brain around where the buffs should go. So I think like, well, this is like a short game. It's interesting to analyze like where the buff should go. I guess Sivir can go last. It doesn't really matter. They can see that I've got a Shapestone, so what I'm hoping is that they play around Absolver Shapestone, but they play around with nothing else. And then we've got the second Absolver to sort of like smack them down. You know what? I was probably supposed to buff Sivir at least once. Especially put Sivir at the end. Like Sivir at the end with +1 damage definitely matters here. Do I want to put all my eggs in this basket? They can't afford like Hexpliterator stuff anymore, right? I do think this is just like better. Okay, got a few options here. I can do Overwhelm on this guy. It protects it, and then you need to spend another spell. The issue is that if they spend another spell, I'm starting to make it a world where I'm putting all my eggs in this basket, and if they can interact with that, then I've wasted my sort of attack. So I wanted to buff this in order to make them split where their things go, so that if they go to 0 mana, then I can buff this. Like if they do if they do Group Shot Hexpliterator, I can put these wherever I want afterwards. I've won, right? Like I can put it here, I can put it here, I can put it here. An alternative line is to put the Overwhelm on this thing because it's currently getting blocked. So this would have added 4 damage. The issue is that I'm trying to toe the line between egg put in basketism and non-egg put in basketism, wherein I want to put just enough eggs in this basket that they're forced to spend an inordinate amount of mana to deal with it. Pokey Wallop. Group Shot Expliterator. Right? And then once that's occurred, then I'm going to split things up. But if I split things up first, and they do get answered, it's worse than... It's more likely to fail, basically. Right? I want to say that the third line, which I've just noticed now, is actually playing this Absolver on Sivir, so that I still have access to Overwhelms. If for any reason I need it, I don't know when that would be, but like maybe if I put the Overwhelm on this, and then they generated a Quicksand, I might have wanted to have the Overwhelm. But in my head, this is better as Secret Knowledge. So I think that's like really minute. But I think there will eventually be one time in the world where it's better to put this Absolver on this to play around Quicksand. Basically. But yeah, like they need to have a 1 mana popper. There needs to be like Group Shot Hexpliterator right now. I do want to mention at the time, I completely forgot about Wallop. I was thinking about Stress Defense, but Wallop wasn't in my brain. Pokey Wallop probably does more than I realize. In my head, I was only thinking about Hexpliterator. So I'm only going to be mentioning Hexpliterator. I think the things that I'm talking about still apply to Wallop, but Wallop's a more powerful card than Hexpliterator at the moment. Until I get to my next turn, and then I just win again anyway. So it doesn't really matter too much. But yeah. If they Group Shot Hexpliterator, I -7. I need to add 6. 2 + 6. Okay, Group Shot Hexpliterator, I still beat. Yeah, so they -7, and then I add 6 by putting 2 here, or even 2 here, but probably 2 here, and then 2 here. But like the Overwhelm too, you know? You get me? Catch my drift? Unless there's something they've generated off the bar. Okay. So I actually forgot about Group Shot Wallop. This doesn't work into Group Shot Wallop. Group Shot Wallop. Okay. I'm not as proud of this as I was originally. I completely blanked out on Group Shot Wallop. Or Victor's Death Ray Wallop. Which would have been even worse. It's probably better if I just like split these up. I think that's fine. But you know what, it would have been even better? If I put Sivir at the end. Because every single time I'm a multiple of, I'm one off instead of two off. Right? Like, it would have been so much better if Sivir was at the end. Like immaculately better. Just in terms of like conception and everything. Don't tell me you've got Quicksand. Are they looking for Jury Rig? Which, by the way, doesn't work, because they don't have block priority anymore. This little icon is full. As we all know, we've all used these icons to determine things all the time. Is that actually something they could have here? Trinket trade into something? No, I don't think there was anything they could have. I should have put Sivir at the end. The +1 strength genuinely did matter, so I don't have to commit as much stuff constantly. And I think the stuff you buff can definitely change your around. Yeah. I did want to go all in on Sivir with the exception of Expliterator, so as soon as they tapped under a reasonable expectation of Expliterator, I felt happy. Okay, this matchup. Vayne Kayn versus this deck. Pretty much the same thing. You're going to outvalue them. Kayn isn't as powerful. Kayn's fine. Like, you will probably level up Kayn at some point, but really you want your Vayne, and you want Blooming Cultist. Because Blooming Cultist is exorbitantly strong. Like, you put Blooming Cultist with Dark and Aegis on it, and now it's a 4-3 tough, elusive that costs 4 mana. Right? Yeah. Basically. This allows me to draw... These two things allow me to draw Kayn, so I'm going to keep them, because I want to draw Kayn. I've got the Aegis, which is annoying for them to deal with. They don't actually have weapon destruction in the deck. And so I can just do, like... It'll probably end up being Foreskin, Cultist, Aegis. What is it with, by the way, with the Darken Saga having, like, edgy names? Foreskin Bakai, Bale Cooks, aka Ballcocks, right? Like, what is it with these things? Okay, so I've drawn... Okay, I didn't talk about the mulligan, but we've got these early units, we've got the weapon to put on the things. We've got a Kayn in hand because we've got the 3 Bakais, and we're pushing some early aggression, right? We've got the 3 cultists that we can play by all by 10-2. It is a bit awkward if our plan is outvalued, but like they sort of also need to hamper our aggression because their deck is low value, basically. And so this mulligan's fine, like, because we're getting Kayn, and because we've drawn all of our cheap units, we're going to be drawing more expensive units like as time goes on. Do I want to play this to play around I think I want to do this to play around Thermo or something. This plays around Thermo, Death Ray, Group Shot. May as well get 2 damage in while I can. Unless I predict into a weapon or a Kayn, there's no reason to play Death Ray, that sort of thing. Like, if I predict into a Darken, it's fine, but I'd rather, like, do that. We'll predict next to try and get into the elusive. Okay? And then if not, we'll play Cultist with the Aegis on possibly just Bakai. Yeah, but I think if we get this Cultist, we want to take this Cultist. Let's talk about this. There's some good options here. So, Dural is strong. They don't have a weapon destruction. Dural is a strong unit that can annoy them, and you can get the Aegis. We've already got one in hand, so I don't feel too subscribed into needing it. And Blooming Cultist, if we can put Dural on Blooming Cultist, we're absolutely making them suffer. And if you ever want to know just how much you can suffer, ask Jansport. I know I've mentioned his name like 7 times. I scream with him like a fair bit nowadays. But genuinely, like, it's such a powerful combo, and they're forced to basically interact with it instantly. And if they do that, like, sure, fine. Like, Blooming Cultists will always die to that anyway, so I may as well get it early while they've got less chance of having those sorts of cards. And I'm still drawing the Cane by playing the Cultist. Ambitious Cultist isn't a bad option. Like, Ambitious Cultist is a big, beefy boy. I've still got turns that I want to play. I can play Giral next turn, like, on my units and do, like, a big attack and then play Cultist the turn after, and now I've got, like, these big units that are attacking for a lot. But Blooming Cultist does a similar thing. Ambitious Cultist and Blooming Cultist are actually pretty close here. I can totally see justification for Ambitious Cultist, where you go, the foreskin gets played, we do this on that, they probably have some form of interaction, but we play Giral on this, we attack with it, we deal its damage plus, like, the Cultist, but the thing is, like, we can do that if they kill the Blooming Cultist anyway, because it does attune, so I'm fine. Like, I'm fine taking the Blooming Cultist. I think we want to play it. They've got Death Ray, which is their strongest card in their deck, and definitely good against Death Ray. You know what would suck? If I play Cultist and they get the second half of Death Ray. That would be really bad. When I say Cultist, I mean Blooming Cultist. If I play Blooming Cultist and they get the second half of Death Ray, that's, like, not very good for it. Just wanted to make sure I was recording. I think I hate this. Because I'd rather let Cultist deal a damage when I kill the thing. I was a bit mumbly there. I took this just because, like, I'd rather Cultist deal, like, a single damage. Or, if they draw the thing, I want to be able to put Giral on this Cultist in space. I hope they don't get the second half of Death Ray. I think Death Ray is really good for them to have had. But we'll do this before they... Like, they've got a 1 in 3 chance of having the second half of Death Ray. They got the second half of Death Ray. I am a little sad. But we'll do the Aegis on the thing, we'll play Cultist, and then we'll play Cane. Actually, we might want to keep Cataclysm for Cane. But we'll hit him with one of these. Yep. Now, we'll probably play this. I think just, like, doing damage, I don't think we need it to hold up Cataclysm for anything. It doesn't accomplish too much. Ah, plus mana. So, if you kept wondering, like, Spidz, what are you talking about? What do you mean hold up Cataclysm with Cane? For some reason I thought if I played Bluegod, I wouldn't have enough mana for Cataclysm plus Cane. I've managed to go, as of this game, 10-1 in Aegis, and yet I'm still saying that I can't play Cultist here because then I won't have enough mana for Cataclysm with Cane next turn. And I think that's funny. Yes, Spidz, just realize how mana. I do not think my Aegis success is indicative of my actual skill, or knowledge of the game, apparently. At some point they'll play Deal 3. But I think it's really fun. Cane. That was, like, an amazing get for them. Like, that spell that they got. I don't get this attack. I like my Buru Cultist being alive. And I like the fact that my Buru Cultist can attack them. And if they play the third half of Death Ray, it's going to be harder and harder for them to kill Cane. So I'm really happy to do this block. In addition, if they kill this Buru Cultist, I am getting Giral. And I don't have any other units, so I'm pretty happy to get Giral. And if they're going to play the third half of Death Ray, and I get my Cane to still swing in and, like, hit the Nexus and start getting, like, Rast or Shadow Cane stuff, I think that's, like, pretty fine by me. So I take this raid every time. Absolutely bonkers. The thing that they did. I'm doing this, by the way, because, like, when I attack with Cane, I want to, like, make it so they can't just simply play the Deal 3 and, like, make me cry. And I want them to, like, play... Right, what I mean is, like, I don't want to challenge Cane and then, like, the guy and Cane happen at the same time. Like, the challenge happens and then they put the spell on Cane and then Cane dies unnecessarily. Hatch is funny. And grovel before my... we can do a little bit of damage if they do stuff. This hand isn't great. We got 3 interaction pieces against a deck that you don't need to interact with. You just want to... When I say don't need to interact with, what I mean is that the way... I actually think I explained this. I don't know why I paused. Is that you want to be applying pressure. Like, killing their Seraphine and their Ezreal is great, but only, like... They're only going to play them at, like, turn 8 and 9. There's no reason to have Cataclysm or Concerted Strike in your hand at the moment, that they're just okay. They can do cute things, like they can remove a blocker so your attack is better. They can, you know, be mana efficient and remove blockers, but they're not great. Any other cards would look at that. Basically. My master tracker was one. If I relog it, will it fix it? Close. Quit. LOR. Just want to like see my deck list. Look at what they play. Yep. There's an argument to pass here so that they don't get like, you know, like burn their mana. I need to apply pressure. I can't not take this damage. So, they pass, and there's an argument to pass back. I think the argument sucks. I get to deal 7 damage here. That's a third of their nexus. It's actually more than a third of their nexus, if you really think about it with the R. Right? I'm going to take it every time. I get the Keen level up trigger. I've got Cataclysm if they play something like... There's nothing in their deck that's like, oh, you got me, now I can't kill it. But even if there was, I could still kill it with Cataclysm. So it doesn't, like, really matter. Do I Cataclysm? I think I pass. I wait for them to bar and I Cataclysm. So why don't I Cataclysm here? If they've got the deal 3 from Victor and they've got a pokey stick, I lose Kane. And I am unit light. Right, like, I don't actually have many units, so I don't want to just, like, lose Kane to that. When I could easily just Cataclysm next turn, after they play bar, they'll have, like, around the same amount of mana, but then I'll have access to catch, and in addition, I'll have access to Concerted Strike. Which is why I'm not doing it this turn. Right, like, when I say they've got the same amount of mana, if they play bar, they're going to have 3 mana, but everything's going to be discounted by 1. So, like, the idea of, like, Victor's Death Ray Mark 3 and Pokestick is just as mana conducive. Or I Concerted if they open. Bar. Now I Cataclysm. But yeah. For what it's worth, I don't expect this to go through. Or if it goes through, I expect my King to be threatened. And then we'll see what happens afterwards based on the specific cards they play. I could have played Combat Cook, by the way, to get Scout. That might have been better. Right, I can talk about this. I can play Combat Cook to get Scout and then Cataclysm with Combat Cook. I think it's... Not only is it all in, it's only a, like, 25% chance of getting the Scout weapon. I also just want to be holding up, like, my other combat tricks. Like, they've played bar. We wanted to Cataclysm. Let's just, like, not be stupid and not play only chance-based thing that may not even work. Okay. Do they have a way of killing Kane? I want them to put a little bit of effort into killing Kane. I play Catch and they put a lot of effort, and then I play, like, Concerted and kill, like, probably Ezreal again. I feel like I'm just pausing and repeating what I'm saying. But I think it's an important point. What I want them to do is put a little bit of effort into killing Kane. Then I play Catch, right? Then that requires just one more piece of effort. And once they've put 2 or 3 things on the stack, then I hit them with the Concerted, do the absolutely insane thing with Kane where you recall him, and I've gained like 3 cards worth of value or something, right? It cost me 2 cards, but I also leveled up Kane. And I got to use my 2 most useless cards in hand, Cataclysm and Concerted Strike. Like, they've got deal 3. No, they got Quicken. Interesting. I think I just let that happen. They can't replay King. They can't replay their thing. I'm just gonna play Combat Cook and apply pressure. Yeah, so I just decide, okay, you can't replay Ezreal, because Ezreal now costs 3 mana and you've only got 0 of it. And I can just play Combat Cook and, like, apply pressure, right? Like, this is great, because I was unit light, so drawing, like, my biggest unit, basically, was pretty good. Yeah. I'll take 10 of Pain because it's got impact. Do I need the mana? I'll have 9. I've got enough mana for everything I want to afford. I think I just play part of Pain. Okay, I got mana for everything I want to afford, and there's definitely worlds where impact matters, right? Like, I don't expect to have lethal this turn, but what I do expect is that they're going to stay at, like, 2 to 4 HP, and then impact just repeatedly hitting them can be important. Impact. It's big. It whacks. It's a wacky boy. Yeah, I take it. Yeah. Why do you take it, Spidz? They've got deal 3. There's no reason to lose my combat cook when he could be dealing impact damage. There's no reason to lose my cane when he could be turning into Rast. Now, you could argue Spidz lose combat cook, and when they try and kill your Buru cultist, catch the weapon onto Buru cultist. Or you could argue Spidz, lose your Buru cultist and replay Jural. I actually think all of these are pretty decent arguments, and I think there is definitely a world where we block this to help us apply pressure more. However, in my mind, they've got a bar on the field, and there might be things that I'm not playing around, and I'd rather have access to my mana next turn to have like Concerted Strike and Cataclysm to be able to give me more options. And I feel like if I'm blocking things and subscribing myself to specific lines, like going down to 2 units or forcing myself to open Jural, I'm putting myself in more situations where they might find the capacity to win, while open attacking and having all my spells thereafter, I think puts me in a more... If more favorable is the wrong word, then more flexible is the right word. Right, now typically flexible and favorable can be relatively interchangeable, especially when we're in a powerful position. So keep that in mind. But that's why I didn't decide to block. I think there are definitely worlds where you do block and you go in for more aggressive lines, but their deck is more stally than like Targon PNZ. That might sound weird, but Targon PNZ is a lot slower and a lot bigger at removing things and a lot more buff based. While this deck, like, the splash is wall up, stress defense, blah, 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 blah. So I'm fine with being more flexible and just waiting for them to run out of cards. Remember, in my mind, the way I'm winning this is outvaluing them. It's not through, like, hitting them with, like, high-tempo blades. Right? Like, I should be aggressive, but I shouldn't be forcing myself into narrow situations where I'm blocking and then catching, or I'm blocking and then opening Jural, or all this sort of stuff. I hope that makes sense. Oh, no, whack it. I'm currently dealing 5 for... I think I catch. I think I forced them to do yet another piece of removal. Yeah. Especially on a tough unit. Like, they don't want to keep doing stuff on tough units. They hate dealing with tough units. So yeah, I do catch here. I do. Now, it doesn't mean I'm not threatening lethal. But because Rast will have Overwhelm, I think I'm basically threatening lethal. I've also got Cataclysm plus Buru Cultist going on for me. I don't know if I mentioned this, but the other thing that I realized is I've got single to get the impact damage. It's unlikely, but it's also in my mood. I also can threaten lethal this time with literally just a single or a concerted on the back alley bar here. But it depends what sort of stuff I want to play with. Is this Poggers Day? It's either Transform or Poggers Day. Either. It's actually neither Transform or Poggers Day. I don't realize why at the time, but it's neither Transform nor Poggers Day. The way I'm fighting. No, it's some Fuse? Actually, I want you to place your bets now. Why do you think they played these cards? Just as like a challenge for you, Nebulous Watcher. Because there are reasons why they're playing these cards, and it makes sense to me now that I've seen why. But I think it's cool to try and work out from this position why they're playing these cards. Just give yourself like a little time to think. Maybe it's obvious to you, maybe it's not obvious to you. But there are 2 reasons why they've played these cards. Just crowd pleaser. This is the first one. Oh, they just want to proc high note. I think I concerted and set up a Rast. You might ask why I'm doing it this way. I know that I get Rast even if Keen doesn't actually strike, he just does the fake strike. But I forget if impact goes off. I know the Nexus says that it does, but I'd rather trust my own experience than the Nexus. Like the little tooltip. That's why I'm just doing it this way. I know it literally changes nothing, but, you know, 0.001% chance that the game got a bug and the Nexus doesn't look right, and I know that Kane flips, but I forget if Impact does, then yeah. Yeah, basically nothing, but yeah. What a useful comment in my VOD review. Basically nothing, but yeah. For what it's worth, I do consider it here because I don't want to lose my Kane, and it's hard for them to get rid of the Kane in this position. And they need to have... Do they have enough mana for Hex Splitter? I'm also getting Giraffe. Do they have enough mana? They do. Okay, so they could have Hex Splitterated, but, you know, have it loser, basically. That was definitely way too overly aggressive. But, like, yeah, I mean, force them to have it, make them go even lower in cards, apply pressure, all that fun stuff. And, like, I'm not considering striking anything else. I've already got 2 pieces of interaction for Ezreal and Seraphine. Like, I don't need to interact. I've drawn, like, 5 pieces of interaction in this game. I don't need it, so I may as well just use it for other forms of value. Or other forms of increasing my game plan, not necessarily value. Although the game plan is often to outvalue this game. I want them to be more likely to hit the Darkened Scythe. So I guess I'm passing. Yeah, so this is really interesting in my opinion. In my mind, I'm trying to go for lethal with, like, Ras plus Cataclysm on this turn right now. Like, just, if they tap onto too much mana, I can do that. And part of that process involves them playing Prank and hitting the Darkened Scythe as opposed to hitting Cataclysm. Right? If they hit the Darkened Scythe, right, it's going to cost 4 mana in hand anyway. Right, but then King auto equips it. Or they hit Giral, or they hit single combat. I just want them to have, like, 1 more hit in hand so that Prank doesn't hit it. And I don't need to develop. I'm not struggling. I'm not, like, in any bad position. I'm allowed to pass. Like, I can do all this stuff next turn. Like the Cataclysm and the single. So I just pass here. Kane's fine to have in hand. And I just want the Prank to not... I'd rather the Prank hit the Kane with it. That's why I'm passing. It's very minor. It basically doesn't matter. I mean, like, we're not spending mana on anything else except, like, Giral. But that's why I do that. That was the second reason why they played Piltover Tailstones. And it's to have this card for a while, also proccing the high note. Okay, they got rid of an up. They got rid of a thing. Okay, they can prank me. I think I just let Cataclysm cost 5 mana. I think I'm okay with Cataclysm costing 5 mana. Yeah, at this point I decide that, like, if they first play Ezreal and second play Seraphine, I don't want to be in a situation where I'm first playing Kane and second playing Cataclysm or single, right? I'd rather I already have Kane on the field, so they first play Ezreal, then I play Cataclysm, or they first play Ezreal, then I play single. And that's why I'm doing Kane now. Like, if they prank the thing, which they may as well, because they've got 3 cards in hand, and they don't know what 2 of them does, and one of their pranks is still really good. Or as good as it can basically get at this point. So, like, their prank is, like, perfect for them, but, like, I don't want them to develop 2 cards that I need to feel like I need to interact with. And I want to have Kane on the field if that's going to happen. And I want to play Kane so that when they play Ezreal, I can kill it. So I will just play Rast. I took Rast over Shadow Kane here, mostly because they're at a low enough HP such that I don't need the elusive, and while they can get healing from stuff like melee, I think that the extra HP matters against P and Z decks, that the weapon can give you in theory. Right, now I don't actually end up using that for other reasons, but that's why I took that instead. And if they hit both of these, then I've got lethal, right? No, they don't. That's understandable. Yeah. I'm still happy, like, I've got the Cataclysm. They need to find a Hex Splitterator or a Mystic or something. Am I ever getting Aegis on Rast to give him more HP? Is Aegis on Rast better? It's worse into, like, a fair few melee top decks, but I think it's still worth it. I think if it Aegis on Rast, it gives him 1 more HP and tough. No. Yes. I do this. I want to give Rast 1 more HP. So when he strikes, he will increase his HP by 1. But this increases his HP by 2 because it's got tough. In addition, like when I Cataclysm, that slow speed, they can put Hexbliterator on the field and kill Rast. A Hexbliterator, if it somehow pops off, will destroy the Darken Weapon, but they need to have like 2 other spells to just like deal with the toughness as well. And so I really like putting the Aegis on. Like, it just increases the amount of HP so much, especially against, like, because the only thing I'm losing to is Hexbliterator, right? Like, nothing. They don't run Minimoth, right? Like, so the only thing I'm losing to is, like, Hexbliterator. Makes him better into, like, Hexbliterator plus X. Yeah, basically. When I inevitably just Cataclysm the Octopus and force them to do even more stuff. Now, the one issue with this is that I'm forcing Hexbliterator the Octopus and not the Tutu. Which matters, because if they can self-pokey, then it's, like, sad. But I'd rather make them self-pokey than play Hexbliterator, basically. Like, Hexbliterator is much worse for me. Now, I should be losing against Aneda. Aneda's my next opponent. I should be losing against Aneda. Contrologist, I'm gonna kill the Octopus. It's the smallest guy. If they, like, self-mystic, this was, like, overzealous by far. Drop the bomb, Ezreal. They kept the melee card instead of the Ezreal. Time trick. They're trying to find a way of killing their Octopus, right? But we've got Vayne. We've still got the open attack. This is what I mean, like, their deck sort of flounders and doesn't do very much. They can find Seraphine here, maybe get something, maybe do Seraphine plus Drum Solo. Yep, they discounted their thing. I think I don't need a single. I think I just play Vayne. Yeah. They can play, like, Seraphine plus Pranky. Okay, I actually think Vayne is probably wrong. I should have probably kept single up for Seraphine. Oh, I can't kill Seraphine. I can re-equip the Darken Weapon and then kill Seraphine, which is probably worth it just to make like top deck Song Spinner worse, also so that they can get melee value because Seraphine costs 1 mana and melee spell costs 1 mana. I do think Vayne here was wrong. Like, I don't need to discount stuff. Mana doesn't matter in a general sense, even if I'm technically making this point about mana. So I think Vayne was wrong here. I may as well play around Seraphine. There's no reason not to. But I'm in such a favorable position, I sort of don't care. Like, I'm genuinely like so pogged out of my god that I just don't care. But if their middle card is Seraphine, I shouldn't have played Vayne. I should have kept that single gun back. Rocket Barrage? I don't care. That was their melee card, I don't really care. Their last card's Thermo. I still don't care, because I already got my Tumble. I don't know, they can't top deck anything except, like, draw to let them win here, right? And that's game. That's game. Yeah, cool. Sort of half expected. This is sort of what I was expecting to see. Yep. Very This was like my most favored matchup, and the original plan was that my job is to beat Bluegod, and I'm sure I've explained this when I do my overdubbing. Yeah, I feel like this is sort of what we were hoping would occur, that we would just beat Bluegod. And so putting Bluegod into me was funny, because Innata is like anti-Spidz, basically. Like, Innata's lineup just fucks me up entirely, so I'm a little bit confused. Hey guys!
Hey, that's a speedrun and a half.
Yeah, I'm still confused why they didn't put Innata into me.
Yeah. Oh well, that's really good for us.
I got to do the Sivir Akshan thing. Like, you know the Sivir Akshan thing? Where you do the Sivir Akshan thing? Yeah, I did the Sivir Akshan thing.
That was cool. Really interesting games as well.
Yeah.
Even though you kind of just steamrolled.
Well, there are still decision points, right? Like, where to put the buff spells is important. Like, the only thing that kills me is Hexbliterator Group Shot. And that's like the only reason to not put everything
Game 1 or
onto
Game
Sivir.
2?
Game 1.
Oh, Game 1.
Yeah. So yeah. That's the only reason. So, second game was like nothing was happening all game.
There was just nothing happening, yeah. And then there was a similar line with the Hexbliterator and like X. I really like the Aegis play.
Yeah.
Just so you
it didn't matter, right? Like, if they get Absorb Soul from melee, like, not Absorb Soul, Grasp or something, like, fantastic. I can just delay the game even more. Like, I've got the late game against the Bard.
Yeah.
The God's tilted.
Is he streaming?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I guess I can watch his side on the other end. So fun fact, I was going to advertise this later. I figured I say this here. Bluegod streamed this, so if you want to see the other side of these matchups, you can. I've watched a little bit. I haven't watched a lot, but there's some interesting points. But you can watch if you would like. I think it's interesting, especially knowing what my hand was like. There's at least one point that I think is fascinating, wherein in the Turtwig's game, at one point I say if they have Pokey Stick, they win. Otherwise, I get like the. This is when I did the tumble, momentous, elusive, cane weapon lethal. Their last card was generated. Like their last card was a generated Yordle Squire card, so I knew it had to be lethal if I was just hand reading, but I wasn't. So yeah, just keep that in mind. Like it's interesting to see things from the other perspective. So yeah, if you want, you can watch Bluegod's Twitch VOD, which is I think just like on Bluegod's Twitch.tv. I'll let this play until the next game starts. So they're gonna put a nader into me, obviously. A nader should just absolutely fork my shirt up.
Wait, why? Explain to me why.
He's anti-Demacia.
Yeah, he's big Demacia.
I guess I should get rid of Bluegod and
get rid of them.
I forgot to get rid of Turt, I'll be honest.
It's okay.
Who's Turt starts with a T? No, Turt also got rid of me, I think.
Okay.
Unless they're in another game. No, they're not. Okay.
So, do you know what to ban?
I haven't done this matchup at all because we just thought this I was instant loss. I'm banning Aphelios Leona.
Yeah.
But I genuinely like Action Varus should fork me up, and I think Pantheon Varus should both fork me up. But I'm not expecting to win.
Them as hardest.
I think any more should just beat a Nader, right? Like that's the
yeah.
That's the goal.
All pressure's off.
Yeah, but
you've done your due diligence.
Yeah, and if I can get the 3-0, then like everyone's fake perception
which one
of
do
me
you
being good is like
which deck do you think mentally is annoying to verse?
Mentally annoying.
Because Aphelios Leona is pretty linear.
Aphelios Leona kills me because Leona, I cannot kill Leona with any of my decks. It just doesn't work. I can't develop when I need to develop, and I can't protect when I need to protect.
No, I agree, and I think Akshan Siva has game into it's Demacia Pantheon too.
Yeah.
Probably Akshan Varus is. Yeah, I guess you can see how it's difficult. I'm assuming that they banned Red Gwen, right?
Yeah, because they're anti-Demacia, so they can just frame on my Demacia stuff.
Alright, it's 2-0 Pantheon.
I'll try. I haven't practiced the matchup, so I genuinely don't even know how to kill Pantheon. But I'm going to go into my OCE player 1. Bye!
Yeah, good luck.
I return. Okay, and I'll catch you all in the next episode.